The reality is that I've never hidden my past. I was a very young man whenever the British Army came onto the streets of Derry and murdered our citizens. Whenever the RUC went into Sammy Devaney's house and beat him, and he died later. Whenever civil rights marchers were being attacked by the forces of the state. When the people that I came from lived as second and third class citizens. And like many other young people in Derry, I took a decision to join the IRA. And my struggle in Derry was against the British Army and against the forces of the state, the military forces of the state. So I went to prison on 2 occasions for membership of the IRA in 1973 and in 1974 on the word of a Garda superintendent. I was never ever charged with membership of the IRA after that, except on one occasion in 1976 when I was brought to Castlereagh Interrogation Centre in Belfast and they threw down a sheaf of newspapers in front of me, and that was their evidence that I was a member of the IRA, and the case collapsed within a few days. I consistently remind the media about a conversation I had with Tony Blair, indeed one of the most important conversations in the week of Good Friday, whenever Tony Blair said to me that he had read his Irish history and he understood and accepted that successive British governments were as guilty as anybody else for the conflict that occurred. But, I mean, folks, that conflict is now in the past. I first stood in an election in 1982, and I've been working in all of that period politically to bring about enormous change in the North. And of course, getting the IRA to call a ceasefire in 1994, participating in the Good Friday negotiations, the Sudanders negotiations, the Hillsborough negotiations, constructing a scenario which see the Democratic Unionist Party come into the institutions on the basis of equality with ourselves. I mean, I am no longer, and the people I represent are no longer second-class citizens. I represent a very proud Irish constituency in the North as their MP and have done since 1997, the Mid-Ulster constituency, made up of the people of South Derry and East Tyrone. They're aware of my past, but they're also aware that I have changed their lives fundamentally for the good by my involvement in the peace process, and that I was prepared to even risk my life to ensure that that peace process would bring dividends for them and, more importantly, for their children. So I think sometimes the Irish people, whether they be in a northern constituency or in southern constituencies, are ahead of many who would criticise me within the media and indeed within other political parties. So I place my faith in the people of Ireland. I have no difficulty representing this country and working in conjunction with the elected government of the people of this country in a way that brings great credit to the country. I will let no one down in relation to how I move forward, and if I happen to be lucky enough to be elected, to work very positively, constructively with the Taoiseach and government of the day. I'm asking all of the people of Ireland to entrust their vote to me as the people of Mid-Ulster entrusted their vote to me, with my pledge that I will not let them down. I'm asking everybody, no matter what political party they voted for in the past, to recognise that this is an opportunity for a new beginning, and to recognise that I do new beginnings. I know, I mean, there are a lot of people hurting within our society, but I mean, even since I returned from the United States of America on Saturday, and over the course of a 24-hour period, I was contacted by a number of people who lost loved ones at the hands of the IRA. People who recognise my role within the process over many years, and who have not just said they are delighted that I'm going forward for the presidency of my country, but they're actually prepared to work for me in the campaign. And you know, I know sometimes the media undertake to speak for all victims on the presumption that all victims feel the same. There are different views out there, but we have to respect all those views. There are people who won't be happy, and I respect those people, and there are people who will criticise me who've been hurt in the past, and I absolutely accept their right to do that. But things have changed. The world has changed. I have changed. Peter Robinson has changed. Ian Paisley changed. And what we now need to do is bring that spirit of change and hope to a position where the people of Ireland can elect leaders who are not interested in self-gain, who are not selfish and are not greedy for themselves, and who are prepared to share in the sacrifices that they are making until such times as we pull out of the economic cocoon that exists at the moment.